Welcome to Sports Time with Chris. I'm your host, Chris, and today is my preview of Super Bowl 59. I think it's 59. I probably should have looked that up before. Yeah, Super Bowl 59, the Chiefs versus the Eagles, a rematch from a few years ago where the Chiefs won in a bit of a shootout. Came down to a controversial call at the end of the game where the Eagles were called for holding, which ultimately gave Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs a first down and control of the clock. And a little bit of a controversial end to that Super Bowl. And that has been somewhat common this season where there are some controversial endings. Some people believed that Josh Allen got the first down in the AFC Championship game. And that's the state of where we're at in football. And being a 49ers fan, I don't care who wins this Super Bowl. I really don't. But being a fan of football, what I really want to see on Sunday is a game where the two teams actually play football, where it doesn't come down to a ref or some weird call. Just let them go out there and play football. And that's all I really care about, is this being a good game, which I think it will be. It's tough because my score prediction for this one is lower than the Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl a couple years ago, where it was pretty high scoring for Super Bowl. It seems like there aren't a ton of crazy high scoring Super Bowls like last year with the Niners and Chiefs. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't 50-42, anything like that. But yeah, I think this time around both teams are they're both more well-rounded, meaning their offenses and their defenses are much more balanced than they were in that game, where it seemed to be more of an offensive. It was a shootout between those two teams, and ultimately it came down to the team that made the fewest amount of mistakes, and that was the Chiefs. I of course piled on Jalen Hurts after his fumble in that Super Bowl, where he kind of just lost it and gave the Chiefs the ball. But they also had some just really bad fundamental football. 19. What's his name? He's not. I'm pretty sure he's not even playing football anymore. Kadarius Toney. Toney had the longest punt return in Super Bowl history that gave the Chiefs the ball within the 10-yard line. And for whatever reason, the Chiefs were able to break the Eagles' rules on defense in that short area, and they were able to get wide open touchdowns. So this Eagles defense this time around is much better than that Eagles defense for sure. I think this Eagles defense is number one in the league as far as their ranking, but the Chiefs can't be too far behind them. And one thing that I will always say about this Chiefs defense is it doesn't matter what they rank in the regular season. I mean, it does matter. Like, obviously, if they're 32nd in the regular season, they're probably not in the Super Bowl, and they would probably get exposed in the Super Bowl, but within reason. They're a top 10 defense, and they could be number 10th ranked defense in the league in this season, and that doesn't matter in the playoffs, because that's when this defense and Steve Spagnuolo drop some crazy and unique things, and they're able to study other teams' offenses and break their rules, and we'll get into that a little bit more here in a second. But I think this is going to be a really, really good game, and I just want to watch good football. That's all I really want. If the Eagles go out and win this game 38-0, I mean, that would be fine. I think one of the issues that I have had with the NFL is the offense gets so much. Offenses are highly favored compared to defenses. We have seen talks of the NFL apparently considering removing onside kicks altogether and replacing it with like a 4th and 25 or a 4th and 20, a long one-shot play where you have to get a first down in order to maintain possession of the ball. And the issue with that is there are so many ticky-tack and cheap calls that give offenses automatic first downs. There are so many of those, and it's so tough to play defense in the NFL, which is why I don't mind seeing defensive games. When defenses are actually able to play football, be physical, and not be worried about getting penalties for ticky-tack things, it's much more entertaining for me, because I enjoy offense and defense. They're both part of the game, and it needs to be a little bit more balanced, in my opinion. So with that being said, let's get into the Super Bowl breakdown. All right. Well, this might be the most disappointing thing about the Super Bowl this year, is that it's a rematch of a Super Bowl from the previous few years, Eagles, Chiefs. And for those of you who don't know, for each Super Bowl, I make one dish for each competing city. And a couple years ago, I made Philly cheesesteak sliders to represent the Eagles, and I made Stroud's Cinnamon Rolls, which is a local place in Missouri, local food in Missouri, more of a dessert kind of food. And so this year I am doing the exact same thing, except instead of sliders, I'm going to be doing cheesesteak taquitos with, I don't know if it's going to be a Cheese Whiz dipping sauce. I haven't figured that out yet. Some sort of cheesy dipping sauce. So it's just a little bit easier to make. With the sliders, I'm kind of limited on how many sliders I can make, but with taquitos, you can roll them up pretty small. You can cut them up. You can make them, they're more of a Super Bowl food, because in my opinion, Super Bowl foods, at least in all of the Super Bowls that I've been involved with, you have a couple of main things like pizza, wings, and then a lot of just finger foods, a lot of things that are, you get a lot of variety, especially this year where I'm going to my sister-in-law's and there are multiple families. There's going to be a lot of variety. And so the sliders are just a little, I think you get like 12 sliders, and there are many more people than 12 in our family. So taquitos is what I'm doing. And then Stroud Cinnamon Rolls, I think you get 12 to 16, but I'm not too concerned about that. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to shoot a little video for that. It'll be interesting because I have to shoot and edit all on Super Bowl Sunday. And then my wife actually has a birthday party she's going to. So I'm going to have to do everything on my own, which is fine, but it just makes it a little bit more interesting. And I have to get creative and shoot on my own. So now let's get into the actual Super Bowl breakdown. For Philadelphia, offensively, we all know this offense runs through Saquon and that offensive line. One thing that Steve Spagnuolo is amazing at is breaking offensive line rules, specifically in the passing game, third down, and long situations. We saw that on the last offensive play from the Buffalo Bills, where Josh Allen had two guys running right at him, and he had to throw up a Hail Mary, basically, and that fell incomplete. It was almost complete, but not quite. And so that's the key for me for Philadelphia in this game. I think defensively, they're going to do as good of a job as you can against the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce offense. And so offensively, the Eagles need to be able to stay out of third and long situations. Like if you can get within 3rd and 5, then I think Philadelphia has a good chance at winning this game. That's a lot easier said than done. And it's also going to be tough for Kansas City's defense to stop Saquon, because no one's been able to do that this season. Otherwise, like I said, I'm very, very interested to see if this Kansas City defense can break Philly's offensive line rules, because Philly, to me, has a top 3 offensive line in the NFL. And so if they can have their rules broken, then Steve Spagnuolo is just a wizard. There's not much more to say about that. For Kansas City, I think one of the most underrated parts of their offense is their wide receiver core. Xavier Worthy, highly talented rookie, crazy fast speed. I feel like they haven't utilized him to his full potential yet. And knowing Andy Reid, that could be unleashed in the Super Bowl. But they also have Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster. These are all guys that have been a guy in the NFL. Maybe not. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins for a long time has been a top 3, top 5 receiver in the league. Juju Smith-Schuster at one point was at the top of the league, and Hollywood Brown maybe not quite at the very top, but he's been really solid. Those 3 guys are savvy veteran wide receivers who cannot be underestimated. And they're playing against some young guys in Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. And so that's an interesting matchup for me. And I think the Chiefs are going to have the advantage there. Another guy to watch the Chiefs take advantage of in this game, even though he's been balling out in the playoffs, they exposed him in last year's Super Bowl, and he's a guy that they can do that to again. That's Oren Burks. He was the 49ers linebacker last year. He helped fill in when Dre Greenlaw went down, tore his Achilles, and that's a spot where I think the Chiefs can expose for the Eagles, even though this Eagles defense has been really, really good this season. Andy Reid is also a master of his craft, and he's going to figure out how to break Philly's defensive rules and expose the weaker players on Philly's defense. Another thing that the Chiefs have that the Eagles have not seen yet is a dominant defensive lineman like Chris Jones. Chris Jones single-handedly has changed games in the past, and he can easily do that in this game. I think he is really the key to shutting down Saquon in the Eagles passing game, and he provides a major advantage for Kansas Kansas City. And that leads me to my prediction. Saquon is going to have himself a good game. It's not going to be anything groundbreaking, but he's going to have a decent game, score a couple of touchdowns. But I think ultimately the Chiefs will be able to shut down the running game when it matters the most. They're going to put Philly in a lot of third and long situations and make Jalen Hurts throw the football more than 5 yards downfield. And when you're in third and long, those 5-yard dump offs don't do much, because against the Steve Spagnuolo defense, if you're in third and long, good luck. And I think he's going to find a way to break Philly's offensive linemen's rules like he has his whole career. So ultimately, I think Patrick Mahomes will spread the ball around. Maybe not a huge game from Travis Kelce, but he'll have his plays. I don't think he's going to get up in Andy Reid's face again this year like last year. And ultimately, the Chiefs are going to get it done like they have all season long. And I've learned my lesson from betting against the Chiefs. That's why I'm going with them. The Chiefs are winning this year's Super Bowl 30-24. Let me know what you think. What are your predictions for the Super Bowl? Also, I don't know how to feel about the halftime show. I've never been a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, but he does have some good songs. I remember a lot of people were into him when I was in high school, and I never really could get down to him. I mean, he's got a very unique voice, and for somehow, man, Not Like Us, that song about Drake, somehow won a Grammy. I mean, I don't know what the state of hip hop is these days. I don't really listen to that anymore, but yeah, we'll see. I might check it out while I'm there. Maybe not. Who knows? I'll tell you what. At least Kendrick Lamar doesn't have that stupid Super Bowl. Last year, Usher had so many commercials promoting the Super Bowl, and he had that song playing over and over, and it was annoying more than anything. And this year, Kendrick hasn't done that. So we'll see. We'll see how the halftime show is. I'm kind of indifferent to it. If I watch it, great. If I don't, great. And commercials are, I don't know, the Super Bowl commercials, I have no idea if they're as effective as they were in the past. I think the quality of them has definitely gone down. I saw Doritos apparently is supposed to have a commercial or something, so that's cool. Doritos used to have some of the best ones, and if you watch the Super Bowl for the commercials, I don't know what to say to you, but they pay millions of dollars for those 30-second ads, which is insane to me. But also I wanted to give everyone a heads up. Season 3 of Storytime with Chris will be releasing in March. I haven't set a date yet, but it's in March for sure. There will be less sports/football coverage, which is the majority of sports I cover anyway, and I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on storytelling, life lessons, and other interests. Also music reviews. I've been thinking about diving into TV show and movie reviews and things like that, but yeah, you'll have to subscribe and check out my podcast to see what I come up with. I like to be I like to have a conglomeration of topics, not just one or two. I have more interests than just sports or just music. And so this will allow me to talk about the things that I want to talk about. So if you're into any of those things, then please check me out. And I appreciate every single one of you. This has been my first season really doing a weekly podcast. And I'm mostly focused on the 49ers this year, which will probably be the case next year as well. And I enjoyed it. And I'm hoping to just keep improving, become a better podcaster, be better prepared, have interesting tidbits of information and statistics and all sorts of things that I can add. This year has also been my first year as a dad. And so trying to really ramp up this podcast while, juggling going to the gym, working, being a husband, dog dad, it all adds up. So I'm going to just try to keep improving myself, improving the quality of the work that I put out. And so I appreciate every one of you that has stuck with me during this whole this has been the first real season of football that I've done. And I would say it's been good. And I'm going to continue to keep on growing. And if you've stuck with me, then I appreciate you. And so, yeah, stay tuned for more. This has been Sports Time with Chris.